Man, that thumb is awesome. Alright, welcome back to Fab and Adventures, guys. If you're watching this video, you're probably looking into getting a mini excavator, or you already have one, and they come with these manual thumbs, and they work pretty good. I mean, but you only have 2 positions. They got 3 pinholes here, but only 2 of them are useful. This one you can get to kind of out of the way, but when you're digging, I find that this thumb here is still in the way. I'd like it to actually go back further, so that's why we're building a hydraulic thumb, and to make it easier to grab things. I thought you could use the front position, and that's why I put this notch in here to overcome this pin here, or get out of the way of it. But it don't matter how much you swing it, this pinhole doesn't match that pinhole. We look at it, you can get this hole here, you can get this hole here, but it don't matter how much you swing it, you'll never get that hole there. So we're gonna cut these off, both sides. We're gonna weld some new ears on up top here, put our hydraulic ram. We're gonna get as much stroke out of this thumb as we can. It's about 8 inches. Let's go ahead, get suited up, cut these ears off, put the ram on here, and figure out exactly where we need to put these ears. I'm thinking by the time I cut these off, I might not be able to weld them up here. It just, for whatever reasons, it might not work. If it can, I'm gonna reuse these. If I can't, I'll just make some new ones. All right, now that we got that cut off, I'm not gonna clean it up just yet. I need to figure out where my hydraulics are gonna sit, and I'm gonna strap them there and figure out how my hoses are gonna run, and then I'm gonna run to town before they close and get my hose cut and crimped for this din fitting up here. All right, so what we see here, here's the original brace for the thumb, and here's my hydraulic ram. And there is not enough room between this bushing and this bushing for my ram to go in. So my options are either to cut my ram narrower or cut these bushings narrower. But since the rod in this bushing isn't gonna turn, but it's gonna turn on the ram, I'm gonna leave the ram full width so that it just has more surface area to work on that pin and not wear that pin out as much. The rams have hydraulic fittings or threads for it, so I'll be putting a zerk in there and then we'll thread it. So I just got to figure out how much I'm going to cut off each one of these ears with just a little bit of play, and then we'll mount this in and figure out where it's going to sit. Okay, so what we're looking at here now is we can pull it up out of the way nicely, but we need room for our 90-degree hydraulic fittings in here or here. I don't think we can run them, we can't turn the cylinder around and put it out the front, because then it's really going to get in the way of the hoses. So I think what we want is our 90-degree hydraulic fittings to come as close to this arm as possible, and this one, they can either come out the side, one can come out one side, one can come out the other side. So I'm gonna screw some of them on and see what we got. so what we did here with our wood thingy is basically a copy of the end of the bushing, or of the end of the pin lock, whatever you want to call it. We're going to trace it out on here and cut it out. All right, so we're going to just cut this guy out right here. Easiest way to do it. Just put a little bit of accelerator on there, and that should lock it down. And then we'll get our stylus set up on here. Basically, watch me build this here now. All right, so you can see I've got the upper cylinder mount just kind of mocked up right now, and I'm trying to decide if that's how I want to run this, is through here, or if I want to run it up and through here, but that's too close, and straight out the side is not really great either, because when it extends out then it wants to pinch over. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lightly tack it, and then I'm going to run it through the motions and make sure nothing is goofy with it. And if it's all good, then we'll weld her in solid. Here's our new pin that we made. It's going to go in. We'll have to drill a hole and tap it for the slot sort of deal. And we should be pretty well operational. All right, so it looks like it's gonna work just fine. Just gotta be careful when you completely extend it. Pulling it back is no problem. I think that's probably about as far as I wanna push it back anyhow. So I'm gonna weld these quite a bit more solid and finish welding it up, and we'll wrap her up for tonight and we'll try her out tomorrow. Voila! All right, so about the only thing we have left to do is we're gonna make a bushing in here. So, because the pin is stationary to this arm, but it's gonna rotate in these ears, and eventually it's gonna waller it out. Like, it's already wallered out, but the more this thing opens and closes, the more you're gonna waller that out. So we're gonna take a piece of pipe, we're gonna ream it out to just over an inch, and then we're gonna weld it inside in here. That'll be our bushing. We'll put a grease nipple on it, and we will be done. So what you're watching here is my attempt to paint match. "40 seconds of blue, try 10 seconds of green." More green. Pretty close. Let's try another 5 seconds of green. See how close we are on the end of my thumb. Looks pretty close to me. Let's see how close we get here. That's a pretty darn close match. Close enough for me. That's close. It's a little dark. I should have maybe left a little more blue. That's 2-to-1 Rust-Oleum Safety Blue. 2 parts blue, 1 part green. Not a bad match. Little too much green, or maybe not enough green. Too much blue yet. It's close enough for me though. All right, tomorrow we'll put the grease zerks in, tighten this one down, put the pins in, pump some grease in it, and we'll take her out in the yard and go try her out. So we're gonna shut her down for tonight, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. All right, let's test this baby out. Get the full motion here. Right there. That's pretty darn good. So you'd be able to pick a log up into the bucket like that. And then it retracts completely out of the way nicely. This is using an 8-inch. This is using a 2-inch cylinder, 8-inch stroke, and I made my own brackets and got the hydraulic cylinder from Princess Auto. I think it's going to work. I like how it retracts nicely out of the way. So for digging, right, you can get right down level with the ground, and your thumb is still off the ground. That's nice. Yeah, look at that, it's level with the ground there. So I can put the actual pivot point of the bucket on the ground and my thumb is still not, well, it's touching the ground, but just as evenly as the bucket is. So that's pretty awesome. Now it's been a lot of years since I have run any sort of excavator or anything like that, so I'm a little rusty. But you get the picture. You can pick a log up like this, cut it into pieces, stack it, then you got firewood. It's handy to be able to have that operation of the thumb. And the fact that it tucks away nicely. Being able to use them together, boy, is that a lot handier than that mechanical thumb. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, there we go. Got the old hydraulic thumb done. Works pretty good. Pretty happy with it. And it took a lot longer than I thought because I had to R&D these mounts here and make my own pin and stuff like that, and just general, you know, screwing around, grinding off the mounts, grinding them clean, painting them, all that stuff. You've seen it on the video, but works pretty good. And I got a ton more planned for the unit. I'll be putting a fan in here like everybody else does. I'll make a video on that. The hour meter doesn't work, so I got another one off Amazon. I'm gonna wire that in. I'll probably mount it up here on the dash. Be a video on that. Doing the hydraulic change and oil change. I'll probably do a bit of a quick little video on that. And then I'll be making attachments. I'm probably gonna make a ripper first, and then a rake, and probably a wider bucket. And who knows, from there I might make a grapple. I might even see if there's a way I can make a swiveling grapple, because it would be really handy for grabbing these logs that are off angle. It binds the thumb and the bucket when you try and grab a log off angle. It, you know, it kind of binds it up. When you go to lift it up, it drops the log, and you got to do a bunch of messing around. If you could rotate a grapple, grab that log, pick it up and swing it, you could totally swing it out of the bush and set it onto a trailer or whatever, and it would be awesome. So there's going to be a whole series of videos on this here little mini excavator. And like I said in my previous video, there's definitely a lot of stuff you got to go over with these little Chinese things. They're not perfect, but I mean, if you like to tinker, I like tinkering. I got a big shop, heated and everything. And yeah, they're pretty fun and they're pretty powerful. They seem to work. We'll see once we get summer here. I got a couple of plans. I got to dig a big hole out back, and we got to do some trenching, and we got a ton of these logs like this in our yard. We got 13 acres here in the bush, and we had fires come through last year, so luckily it didn't hit our yard. but we have so much deadfall that we want to clean it up so that there's less burnable stuff. If the fire does come through, it'll just whistle through instead of sitting here and burning for a while. So that's our plan. And that's a big part of the reason why I got this little mini hoe. So like everybody says, subscribe, share, like these videos. Stay tuned, there's more coming.